right. We are at the top of the hour. Hello, everyone. My name is Lynn Voss with Golden Care. I am the Senior Marketing Specialist and have about 18 years under my belt here with Golden Care. We are we are pleased to be able to introduce Transamerica's new final expense or the FE Express solution product, and we have a special guest speaker with us today, Jeremiah Tacker. There's a couple things I want to go over first before turning it over to Jeremiah. So let me go ahead and get started here. Okay. We are recording today's presentation. I believe we may be covering a couple things faster than what you're able to take notes, but that's okay. We are recording the presentation. I did ask Jeremiah about the possibility of sharing the slides afterwards as well. So don't worry, we will be sending the resources and handouts after the fact. If you haven't visited yet, check out our goldencareagent.com website. There's a ton of resources out there. Most of the content and information does not require login, but there are some of our exclusive tools such as InstaPivot, StratDecision, and some of our consumer PowerPoint presentations available inside Agent Corner. And I want to call your attention to August 7th. We actually have the next special presentation coming up. We have Tom Randall back for his Words of Wisdom, his WOW event, and this one he's going to be covering some of our different STC need pieces, what we have available, strategies to put them to use for you, how you can generate more leads and interest. So that is August 7th. Be on the lookout for more information and the registration links. And like I said, these are some of the different value added things that we have on our website. Again, inside Agent Corner, we have our best information. And then, of course, our entire marketing team. If you have questions, feel free to reach out at any point. You have Jeff, Manny, Morgan. You also have Renee Stutz, Corey Fountain, myself, Lindsay. We are here to support you in any way. We can be your back office, your ace in the hole, allow us to make your job easier so we can be your back office. And with that, I wanted to turn things over to Jeremiah. Today we are actually going to be covering, like I said, the FE Express solution. And Jeremiah, I'll go ahead and let you take it away. Did you receive
Perfect.
the pop-up? Aha,
I
perfect.
did. You should be seeing my screen now. So no, thank you so much for having me on today. I appreciate it. It is always an honor to be on with anybody's group, but especially this group, because I think it's my first time on with you guys. So very excited about that and excited to share a lot of the updates that we have that are happening right now, especially with surrounding our final expense products. So we'll get started today by introducing myself. So again, I am the regional VP with Transamerica Life Insurance Company. I have been in the industry for about, I think it's right around the same time as you, as about 19 years, I think, right around there, since 2007. So do your math. I think it's coming up on 19 years for me. Maybe it's around 18, 19. Math a little rusty this morning, but I have spent a lot of time in this industry as well. And ironically, I started my journey with Transamerica back in 2007. I worked with them for 10 years till 2017. And then I stepped away and went into the field and personally produced for about 6 years of my time frame there. During that time frame, not only did I personally produce and was fairly successful at it, but also trained, recruited, and grew an agency during that time as well. Unfortunately, I had to step away from that agency due to some things, and Transamerica was right there. And so I stepped back into this role with Transamerica. I think it's been about 2 years ago now, maybe a little over 2 years. since I've been back and in this role. And my experience has led to a lot of things, just putting my input on products and processes we're putting out and being able to do webinars like this to train you guys on how to work with us, how to write our products, and just some of the great things that we're doing. So excited to bring those to your attention today. If you do have questions, I think there is a chat box in here that you can or
There is,
you can
yes.
utilize. I don't know if they can come off mute at all.
Just because of the size of today's class, it would be relatively chaotic if we unmuted everyone. So I do encourage everyone, if you do have a question, type it into the chat. We can certainly call out questions at the end. We'll do a Q&A section, see if anybody does have some good questions, or they may be answered in the process of the presentation. So um, definitely type your questions into the chat.
Yes, I'll be monitoring that as well. And yes, if I see one that pops up with what we're talking about, I can definitely share more on that. Or if I don't get to all of them, we can definitely go over it at the end too. And I will ask if before I get started, so I don't forget, can you send me an attendee list for this as well for this training, please?
Absolutely. Yep, some
Perfect.
of the some of those final communication pieces, it's all coming together. I'd be happy to share the attendee list. Jeremiah, you and your team are the absolute experts. We are here to help, of course, but if there's any questions that get into the weeds or very specific details about enrollment or something, you and your team would be the absolute best to be working with directly. So
Definitely. We'd love to reach out and follow up and just make sure there's not any. We love that follow up. That follow up is key to all of these. Obviously, as you guys move forward, you're going to experience things. You're going to have things happen, or in your realm and in our realm, we just want to make sure that we got all the questions answered. So we love that follow up piece, which leads me to my next slide here, guys. Just like she said, it is obviously apparent you guys need to reach out to your uplines there if you have any questions at Gold Care, right? That's where you need to go first, right? They're your main support. They're your resource. They're your contacts, right? But we know that Transamerica is a huge carrier, so I do want to make sure you have secondary support as well. So I want to provide you with some information and where to contact, how to contact, who to contact, right? So obviously we have other departments that work with like new business and customer service and that, and I will include that in my email today for follow-up and have you guys have them get that out to you guys. But for like sales and product and quotes and illustrations and product questions, things like that, definitely here is my contact information. That's my personal cell phone, so you can call or text me there. That's my office email as well. Um, I do have two specific internals that work with me, and all that means by internal is they don't travel, they don't do really any webinars. They're really there for your support. But that is their direct office lines and their direct office emails. And like I said, guys, the best way though to reach us is the 866 number. Like for things that you're going to need going forward, if they're product questions, illustrations, quotes, if you need to get a underwriting guide or an agent guide or a customer service guide, or you need to know where to go on the web portal or things like that, right? Those are all really easy questions that our team can answer for you. And the best way and the quickest way to get those is one, you could reach out to your upline, right? That's going to be your main, like I said, your main contact. This information is secondary. But that 866 number above, that goes into all of our internals. So I have two internals that are assigned to me, but we have 13 on staff, including the two that work with me, right? So that number puts you into a queue that you go into, and once they pick up the phone and answer, which is not very, you're not waiting on hold for long times. They try to keep those to a minimum, answer those quickly, and get you taken care of. But then they can take care of a lot of those things. If you do want to reach out to me, James or Jason, you definitely can. But just know that myself, I am traveling, I am doing these webinars. So I'm not always available as I want to be for some of those easy things. Um, but I'm more than happy to help, right? I'm one of your support tools, and so is James and Jason. They're doing the same things, right? They're making outbound calls. They're taking inbound calls from the queue. They're doing answering emails. They're doing all those things to try to help and support as many agents as we can. So reaching out to us individually sometimes is tough, and it's a little delayed to getting back, right? We normally say 24 hours to
I'm
return your
listening.
call, but the 866
Right.
number would be the best to get into someone and contact them and talk to them immediately and get things a little bit quicker. So wanted to make sure I provided all that and just an insight on what kind of experience you'll have reaching out, where you can go for quick answers, where you need to go for some escalated things, stuff like that. So with that, let's move into really why we're here today. We're here today to talk about the brand new FE Express solution product with Transamerica. And why are you choosing, how would you choose a final expense carrier? Well, here's a lot of the reasons that we came up with of why you would choose a final expense carrier. And I think we hit a lot of these things, right? Day one coverage and underwriting rules, right? Why do you choose a final expense carrier? Well, you choose one so that you can get your client underwritten and approved and get them day one coverage, which is the best rates, right? That's why you choose them. And I think we have a lot of tools and a lot of underwriting changes that we just did that's going to allow you to find those clients in those situations. Instant decision EAP, guys. This is our first instant decision EAP. It was a little rocky start trying to get things going, but we have come a long way. This product rolled out in October of last year. So for those of you that have written it, you've seen a lot of changes. For those of you that haven't, you're not gonna, you didn't go through the initial launch, right? So you're getting things right at the peak right now. We have one more add-on here, which I'm gonna share later on what we need to do to make this, I think, one of the best final expense products out there. App, process, product itself, everything, right? And I'm gonna go through why. But that instant decision is huge. You're getting that within 2 to 3 minutes in that application. So you're getting that very quickly. Rates. For those of you that might have written our old immediate solution product, which is still available, that was the number one rate. We prided ourselves on rates. It wasn't always the fastest, it wasn't always the easiest product to write, but we definitely made sure it was the most inexpensive, right? The best rate for your client. This one, we made a little transition, right? We are not the best rate, and I'll share that with you, and be very transparent. We are not the best rate. Are we competitive? Oh yeah. We did not work ourselves out of a competitive market, right? We know how important it is to stay competitive price-wise, but also give you some of the great features we have. So we did stay very competitive in rates. We're probably most of the time in the top 3. Some areas you might see us in the top 5, but we're there. I don't think in any rate we're out of the top 5. I think we're within the top 5 of rate. And just to give you a perspective on how slight the increase is, guys, if you did write our immediate solution, which was the cheapest rate and is still the cheapest rate out there, this FE Express is about, I would say, anywhere from $10 to $12 more expensive than our immediate solution product. So not a huge change there, right? And for all the benefits we're giving you, I mean, this is going to be your go-to product, I hope, going forward. Customize offer and upsell. So this is a feature that we added into our app process that I'll talk about when I go through that in here in a little bit. Higher face amounts, we did those along with issue ages, so we changed a couple of those rules, which I'll talk about here in a minute. New business and customer service have all been revamped. Guys, new business is top notch right now, moving things through pretty quickly. Although with this product, you would never have to even work with new business because it's instant decision. But our customer service is light years better than what it was even 6 months ago. So and continuing to make strides to make that even better for you. Ease of business. I mean, part of the instant decision, the signature process that I'll talk about here in a second. These are all things that we want to do to make it easy for you to do business with us. Brand strength, you see the pyramid on the screen, right? We're iconic. We've been around for over 100 years. I used to go into the field and go into homes, and clients would literally tell me they only want Transamerica. I would come in wanting to maybe find the best rate or best process for them. They would tell me, I want Transamerica, right? We're iconic. We're there. We have that brand strength. Signature process, we do have a text to sign feature now, which has been very helpful, especially with seniors and writing final expense. It's been huge. So I'll go through that a little bit later. Social Security billing, guys, we are a true Social Security billing carrier. So what that means is that we draft the same day as your clients receive their Social Security benefits, right? We're not like other carriers that are Social Security billing, but they're not true, right? They might draft in a little bit of a delay. Now, do we have delays? Of course. There's always some system issues, not always. There are sometimes some systems, I don't want to make it sound like it always happens. There are sometimes some system issues that cause delays in those, right? I will tell you this year alone, I think we've only had 2 instances where there's been a delay in drafting premiums. So right out of 365 days, out of the end of the year, if we have 3 or 4 out of 365, that's a pretty good percentage on your delays and not having those. So true Social Security billing there, and then I talked about issue ages. So let's talk a little bit about the competitive features. So what is competitive about this product? Now, I'm not going to tell you that's fastest. It's the best app, right there. I'm going to share with you, yes, is it very fast? Yes. Is it a very clean and easy process? Yes, you're going to see that here in a second, right? Do I think it's one of the best built apps out there? I don't think so. I've heard that this is the best process of an app out there right now. Now, this was, when it rolled out, a 10-minute application. This has actually been, because it's been acclimated now almost a year into agents' hands and getting acclimated to it. This app actually takes you about 8 minutes to write. In total, 8 minutes. That's including the 2 to 3 minute instant decision, gathering the remainder information, and getting it issued, right? Doing all that in 8 minutes. Super, super fast. Don't know if it's the fastest out there. Couldn't tell you right now, but I know that's fast. And I've heard it's the best process, but we'll look at that and you can be the judge of that here in a little bit. The one thing I do want to spend a few minutes on that a lot of folks don't know about, and they write this not even knowing about it, is our Everest Funeral Concierge service. It's a funeral planning service that's built into this product. So if your client is approved, whether it's select or graded for this product, they receive the Everest add-on, the funeral planning service add-on. So what can you talk about with your clients that's going to make a difference in whether they want this product, they want the Everest, they want to know about the Everest? Well, one, I think that Everest itself, this funeral planning service, me personally, I think being in the field and writing business, because there's other, right? This is exclusive to Transamerica, right? Transamerica is the only one that has Everest on their products. Now, there are other services like Everest out there that are on other products. And I'm going to kind of go through and show you, what Everest has and what also differentiates Everest from those other services. But I do think having services like this, specifically on a final expense policy, not only does it help close a sale or get a sale, but I think it helps to keep a sale on the books. It helps your persistency as well, right? So when you go through this, I want you to take some notes on things that you can tell your clients about this Everest plan that are beneficial to them, that are going to make them want this product and want that plan, right? Because that's going to help you close more sales. And then when somebody tries to come in behind you and sell maybe a cheaper final expense plan through whatever company they're going through, and your clients are well versed in Everest and they ask, does it have a funeral planning service? And if they say no, man, I think the odds of them telling that agent to kick rocks are pretty high. That you're going to be able to keep, they're going to want this plan on the books because of that Everest. And even if they have something like Everest, they can run their spiel on whatever they have. And when they see that Everest is better in the long run because you did a great job explaining it, again, they're going to tell them to kick rocks. Do I think that's going to happen every time? Absolutely not. But do I think it'll happen majority of the time? Yeah. This has been a big, not a pain point, but a pinpoint for agents. Like when they share this, they're amazed at how much the client actually wants something like this. Because we as agents will think, oh man, I got to not only sell the product, I got to also sell this. You don't even have to sell this. You let them know these bullet points, and boom, they love this deal. And I get a lot of feedback on that every day. But what this Everest plan does for like your policy owners, you have 24/7, 365 access to Everest, right, in their team. Right. What differentiates Everest, though, is they also have licensed funeral directors, which other companies like this do not. These are people that have worked in the funeral industry that have come away from that and now working for Everest directly to help you and to help your beneficiaries. Right. So that's huge to have that experience and knowledge to be able to be shared with you. Also, for your policy owners, they have a thing called TENSing. It's secure document storage. So it has preloaded documents on there for things like will prep, healthcare directives, things that they can upload, complete, and then get notarized and all those things through there. So it is legal and binding. They can do all that, and they have those things already built in. Other things that you can do, the policy owner could put other information. I mean, you guys, if you've never been through a process where you had a friend or a relative or someone passed away, which I hope you haven't, but if you have, what it entails to find all this information, right? Things like social media accounts. You should probably close those out, right? How are you going to get passwords and logins? Things like other investment opportunities that whoever it was passed away had. Life insurance. What other life insurance or health insurance did they have? Bank accounts. Like you can close out bank accounts and stuff. Like how do you get that information? How do you get access to that? Right? This is all stuff the policy owner can put on this secure document storage. They can put all that information, contact info, policy numbers, all those things they can put out there, passwords, logins, all that stuff. Because with TENSing, it's secure document storage. So Everest doesn't have access to it. Transamerica doesn't have access to it. You as the policy owner would have access to it. And then you're allowed to designate access to up to 5 people. Okay, and not this is so other organizations like this have this TENSing deal, but they don't allow you to designate to up to that many people. They also don't allow you to designate specifically, so you can actually assign different access to those individuals. Like if you did 5, let's say 3 people, you could have one person that oversees all of it, right? And you could have another person, maybe they are a life insurance agent in that client's relative, or they know someone. They want to leave that person in charge of their life insurance. And you have an investment advisor, they want to leave that person in charge of they can do all that, right? They can assign that out, which is different than others. Now, where does it come into play? Like, why would you want to include beneficiaries in this conversation, and how are they impacted by this? Well, beneficiaries are impacted because, again, they're the ones that are actually going to do the whole funeral and set this all up. Unless you have it pre-planned, which I will tell you right now, Everest will talk you out of that, and there are several very good reasons why. If I have time at the end, maybe I'll share those with you. There are several good reasons why you do not want to pre-plan a funeral, and I didn't realize that until I started learning more about Everest. But your beneficiaries are, when you pass away, they have 48 hours to find a funeral home. Right? Not only do they, taking a step back, not only do they have access, the 24/7, 365 access to Everest and our licensed funeral directors, but those people at Everest can also help them plan and budget for your funeral. right? They're not going to help pay for it. That's what the death benefit is for. But they are there as a guide and support to help plan and budget for a funeral. Because a lot of us on this call, I can't see you if you raise your hand, but think about it. If someone you knew passed away today, do you know where to start or what the whole process is to do this? Probably not. 95% of us probably have no idea. So that's a huge benefit to have access to Everest to help them guide and support you during that process. But as I was saying, you have 48 hours to find a funeral home. Do you know that there are more funeral homes than there are car dealerships in the US right now? Also, did you know that funeral homes set their own pricing? So for your beneficiaries, along with that 24/7, 365 access, your beneficiaries also have access to Everest to utilize their price finder tool. So Everest has a price finder tool that allows them to put in a zip code that you provide them. Then it's going to come up with up to 8 funeral homes within a certain vicinity. And it's going to list out the services they provide and the costs of those services at that time. Now, when we do this, and Everest does this for me, so and I can have Everest on. We can talk about some other trainings later, but when they do this in other trainings that they've done for me, they bring this up. They've done one in Georgia. They don't know in all over, but Georgia is one specifically I remember where they had 8 funeral homes come up. And it was within like 10 miles of this client's zip code, right? Like, I mean, all these were within 10 miles of their zip code. So the most expensive one was $21,000. The most inexpensive one was $10,000. Guess what? Both of them had the same exact services. So that is huge. We all know that the average final expense sale is like what, maybe $10,000. I think maybe 15, somewhere in there, somewhere in that time, somewhere in that range. That's not a lot of money to work with. So the more that you can save on that funeral, because you're not really taking away any services, you're getting the same services. It's just costing you less money. So how beneficial would that be for your client when they have very limited death benefit to work with, to be able to save as much money as they can, but get you the same services? That's huge. And you don't have time in 48 hours to find that on your own. So Everest does that for you. And the last thing that I'll mention, which I think is the most important, is the expedited claims. So Everest allows Transamerica to expedite $25,000 of that death benefit out within 3 business days. And that's huge, because my brother-in-law, my wife's sister's husband, just passed away a year ago. It took her over a month to get the death benefit back. That did not help her with funeral costs at all. She had to borrow money from us. She had to borrow money from her parents, take out a loan. Whatever she had to do because that death benefit wasn't available. Now, how beneficial would that be if that death benefit is available within 3 business days, and you could utilize that to pay the funeral home, to pay all the things and not have to come out of pocket, which most people can't afford anyway. So that is huge forever. So those are the bullet points I needed you to write down and make sure that you're sharing with your clients, to share with them the benefit they get with this excellent final expense product that we have. All right, now that I've done that, and I've shocked and awed you, and I'm surprised I haven't seen any questions come through. Really shocked, but I must be doing a phenomenal job. So I'll pat myself on the back now and save maybe more of that for later. But I do want to talk about. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just want to comment. There's actually, this system allows 2 different ways. There is a chat feature, but there's also the way we typically recommend is that people type in their questions. And there is actually a question.
Yeah.
We had someone ask, are they sending the approved policy to the consumer by email, or can the client have a hard copy policy email or mailed?
So that's a great question, and I'll touch on a couple of that later, but I can speak on behalf of it now a little bit, and we'll review a couple of other things later for you guys. But yes, so once obviously the policy is instant issue, then when we draft the premium, the client would then have access to their portal to look at their policy. You as the agent would also have access through your portal to look at the policy. But if the client doesn't log in to their portal, which 99% of clients aren't going to log into this thing anyway, but if the client doesn't log in to their portal for at least 10 business days after their first draft, then yes, we do mail out a policy packet to your clients. So hopefully that kind of helped answer your question there.
I think that one was typed in as you were talking about the portal with the concierge service.
Yep, so that's how it will work. And I'll share a little bit later what you're going to be able to do initially when you write this policy and what you're going to be able to leave with the client. So that'll be something we talk about a little bit later too. So perfect. Well, that answers that question. Any more that I can answer real quick?
Nope, so far that's all we've gotten.
Perfect, perfect. All right, so let's talk about the product a little bit, right? Who can you write this for, how much, and all those things. Okay, well, again, we have the FE Express solution. Okay, that's the product, the FE Express solution. And I'm going to show you where to go to get it, all the things coming up. I got 30 more minutes, I believe, and we'll make sure we utilize all 30 of those minutes for sure to get you guys everything that you need to go write this. The FE Express solution is the product name. We have select and graded ratings for this product. Okay, select is issue ages 18 to 85, minimum 5,000. Maximum 50,000, ages 18 to 75. Now that's big to remember because a lot of carriers start to tear down at 40, 50, start to lower the max death benefit you can get. Not Transamerica. 18 to 75, $50,000 max. To round it out, 76 to 85, we do 25,000. On the graded side, issue ages are a little different, 18 to 80. Minimum 5,000, maximum 25,000 for all ages. Just going over the death benefit a little bit. So obviously select is day one, they get death benefit right away. Graded is a little bit different. So graded is the first 2 years, return of premium plus 10%. After or start of the third year, they would receive full death benefit if they passed away. And then with the select plan, we do have the accelerated death benefit rider and the accelerated death benefit rider with nursing home benefit, along with the Everest built-in rider. And then the accelerated being these are I think they're automatically built in. Or actually no, these two are not. The Everest plan is though. So the accelerated is not. The Everest rider is built in. And then when the graded, again, you have the built-in Everest rider. And then if you're looking on this left-hand side here for the FE Express solution, this slide is outdated. We are not in Guam, Puerto Rico, New York, or the Virgin Islands. We launched not too long ago in California and Pennsylvania. Now we're going to touch on our, but a couple of things I want, because I don't know how many of you are contracted, how many of you are going to want to be contracted, but I do want to state a couple of things when contracting, because obviously you want to reach out to Golden Care to get contracted. One thing, when you receive, this is kind of something that I think is in our welcome letter, but I don't think maybe a lot of people don't read it. When you get contracted and you receive your welcome letter from us, do give it 24 to 48 hours before trying to access the portal and products. I do want to make sure that you know that once you receive that letter or that email letting you know that you're active with us, give it 24 to 48 hours from that time frame before you try to do that, or before you try to reach out to us letting us know that you can't get into something. Also, in the state of Pennsylvania, it's a state requirement, not a Transamerica requirement. So you probably have dealt with this if you've gotten non-resident or if you're a resident of Pennsylvania, and that is like a I don't know what they call it, pre-appointment state or something like that, whatever they call it in licensing. You do have to pay the license fee before we can fully contract you in that state and to be available to write business. So I didn't want to let you know that those two things as you move forward. As again, I don't know how many of you are contracted or are going to want to be contracted, but those are things you need to watch out for. Underwriting. So let's go over that for the next, probably, I'm going to try to move through this a little quickly here, give myself some time at the end here. But underwriting, okay? If you're field underwriting, if everything in our underwriting guide says they're select plus their height and weight, they're most likely going to be select. If you have one graded, they're most likely going to be graded. If you have one decline, most likely going to be decline. I say most likely because we do run a Milliman fast data background check on all the clients. So if anything comes back different from what they shared with you or that you put on the application, we're going to apply that to the application as well, and that'll also factor in the consideration for a rating. With that, I do want to jump out of this real quick. Actually, I'm going to go back in here, but I want to jump into this to go into more details on our underwriting. There we go. All right, so I'm going to talk about a couple of different things underwriting-wise here. One of them is our single condition, right? So these are clients that I call, does it show on my screen? Just want to make sure. It says resume slideshow. Is it showing on my screen?
Oh, yes, it is. The adult
Okay,
single condition decision chart.
perfect. Yeah, okay. So these are clients that I call unicorns because being in the field, I rarely ran across somebody with one condition, right? They normally, if they had one, they had multiple. But if you do run across these clients, here's where we do a better job, I think, of giving you best rate class than other carriers might, especially for these conditions. The 5 that I'm going to list off, one is congestive heart failure. If they've ever had it, they would get select level day 1 benefit coverage with Transamerica. That means, again, they're getting the death benefit day 1 if they pass away, no matter when. COPD, it includes emphysema and chronic bronchitis. They've ever had it. Again, they're select day 1 level coverage. Sleep apnea is our third one. Again, ever had it, select day 1 coverage. Diabetic coma or diabetes with insulin, peripheral vascular disease, neuropathy, retinopathy, or kidney disease. Says within 2 years, I will let you know that is ever. If they would be select. So if they've ever been diagnosed in that time in a time frame, they are select day 1 coverage. And same with heart attack and heart disease. Says within 12 months, I will let you know that is ever, and that is also select. So big things like COPD, CHF, heart attack, diabetes, things that other carriers are not giving you the best rating for, Transamerica will, especially under the single condition chart. Now, you're probably saying, well, right, so I don't run across many unicorns, so what about clients with multiple conditions? Well, if your client has multiple unrelated medical conditions, Transamerica is going to be a carrier you definitely want to look at because we are not a carrier that stacks those. So if you have 3 or 4 of them, other carriers are automatically going to say you have 3 or 4 medical conditions, we're going to put you ROP or graded. Right? You're not going to be even in the realm of a day 1 coverage. So Transamerica is going to be your go-to because things like this, when we have this client right here that has COPD, diabetes with neuropathy, multiple sclerosis, and Parkinson's disease, this client, all of these are unrelated. None of them affect each other. They're all selected in our underwriting guide. So as long as the Milliman report comes back okay, this client would be day 1 select coverage approved. That's huge. We have client number 2 who has diabetes with neuropathy, lupus, and emphysema. Again, none of these affect each other medically, all selected in our underwriting guide. If the Milliman report comes back clean, this client again will be approved select day 1 coverage. Then our last client here who has CHF, Parkinson's disease, depression, and Crohn's disease. Again, none of these affect each other, all unrelated, all viewed as select individually in our underwriting guide. If the Milliman report comes back clean, this kind again would be approved day 1 select coverage. So some huge scenarios there, guys, with multiple medical conditions, including big things like CHF and others included, that you're getting select day 1 coverage. Hospital, I want to make sure to throw this caveat in there, guys. We look at hospitalization, okay? So you do want to make sure you're asking that question. Have you been in the hospital within the last 12 months for 2 or more nights? Right? I always share this in a way that states, guys, we have 1 bad, 2 good. So you have a 66% chance in this regard to get this client issued on a select basis. So the one way you can't, again, if they have a hospitalization that is for 2 or more nights within 12 months, they're automatic decline. You could literally start the application out with that if you wanted, and ask that question. Do you even know if we're going to be relevant in the situation? But the other 2 ways that they can, if they were just in a hospital overnight within the last 12 months, they're good. Select. If they were in the hospital 2 or more nights, but it was after 12 months, again, good. So you have a 66% chance. So 2 out of 3 odds to get a client a rating on this. But you do want to make sure you ask that hospital question. I would ask it no matter what, but I would also specifically ask it if they had things like CHF or stroke, things like that, right? Heart attack, things that would require a hospital stay. But I would ask this no matter what. Now, the big thing is comorbidities, or a fancy word for related medical conditions, right? For this guide right here, if you look at these listing of examples of combo related medical conditions, this is what it was like 2 months ago, how we looked at things. This didn't really do us any good, right? When I told you one condition is for your unicorn clients, but then when your client has 2, we automatically put them in graded. That doesn't benefit you, it doesn't benefit the client or us, because you probably moved that business somewhere else. So we looked over these and tried to get better ratings for you. So here's what it looks like now, as of today. If you wrote a policy today on someone with COPD and stroke, they would have gotten graded, but now they would get select day 1 coverage. If you wrote a client in the past on lupus and irregular heartbeat, it was graded. Today it would be select day 1 coverage. Same with CHF and diabetes. Same with stroke and diabetes. Okay? So huge changes there. Muscular dystrophy and wheelchair, that was a decline for us a while back. Not anymore. You can actually get graded. Okay, and I will share with you something I missed. I apologize. But our graded rates, we just repriced them. So since it's being recorded, I'll give you the date. We repriced them on July 17th of 2025. So for those listening to after this, know when we did that. But we repriced our graded. Before we repriced, the only benefit you were getting from Transamerica writing a graded policy would have been the Everest plan, because a GI product was definitely cheaper. Our graded rates were astronomical. We made huge changes in a reprice. We are now cheaper than, I will say the proper word, more inexpensive. So we are more inexpensive than a lot of the GI carriers out there right now. Plus, you have the Everest rider, which none of the GI carriers are going to have for you. So it's a win-win for us, win-win for you with your clients. If they need to go graded, you now have a better price and you get the Everest rider. Moving on, diabetes and renal failure. I don't even know a company that takes this at all. When I wrote, this was a GI. We actually now take it graded. Stroke and supplemental oxygen was a decline. Now it's graded. Muscular dystrophy and CHF, we actually went from a decline all the way up to select day 1. And now these last 6, which are huge related conditions, these are serious conditions, and you have multiple of them, right? More or less, more carriers are probably going to be along these lines. They're going to be in the decline, maybe a graded with some. I don't know any that are going to be a select except for Transamerica, because every single one of these would be select day 1 coverage, which is huge. And now I will throw that caveat back in there that has to be without the hospitalization, right? If they have, a lot of these include CHF, things like that. If they were in the hospital for 2 or more nights within the last 12 months, then it's going to bump it to a decline. But if they're in any of the other 2 scenarios that I mentioned earlier, they're going to be select day 1 coverage. So guys, I'll leave you with this. If you look at this list old and you look at the new list, The old list had 14 items. 10 of them declined, 4 graded. The new list has the same 14 items, except for now it's 11 select ratings and 3 graded. Huge underwriting changes for you guys. And I know we're going to get this business because we're the only one that's going to take it. So, and we're ready for that. We welcome it because we want to earn more of your business. So allow this not only to get more of your clients covered, but give us more of your business and those healthy clients as well. Here are 5 that we couldn't make changes on, but underwriting's looking at and still are looking at to this day to see if we can make changes on that. We're also making huge strides in the memory loss. So in the memory loss category. So Alzheimer's and dementia are still a decline. But if your client has chronic memory or memory loss, if it was within the last 2 years, it would still be a decline. But if it's outside of that 2 years, you would be able to write your client and get coverage for them with Transamerica. All right, I think I have 14 minutes left, so I need to move through this pretty quickly, but I want to go slow, make sure you guys are getting all this information. So I'm actually going to jump out of this real quick. And we're going to dive into the portal. So I want to show you guys the portal here. The portal is secure.transamerica.com. Okay, secure.transamerica.com. That's our portal. So where are you going to write this? You're going out here to our portal once it loads for me. Surprised my internet hasn't cut out. Yesterday we had some really rough storms going on here, and yesterday was bad. I was on a webinar and barely got through 3/4 of my information because it kept getting me out. So actually,
I know the GoToWebinar platform does take up a lot of resources on a computer too, so it might delay browser responsiveness.
yeah, I'm gonna try to get back. I don't know, this is spinning here, so I'm gonna try one more time. Hopefully I can get out here because I want you guys to see this. It's really imperative that you see where you need to go to write this. Let's see if I can get it to log in one more time for me. But yeah, guys, you're going to go out to secure.transamerica.com. While it's spinning here, I will share with you, it's a separate tab. So you're going to see like 9 or 10 tabs pop up on the screen for you. And I think it's like the second line, the first tab. It's actually titled, the tab is actually titled Transamerica FE Express Solution. Okay, so it's titled the name of the product, right? And then there's a little launch button down in the left-hand corner of that tab. You click on that, and you're going to be able to open up the tab, and it's going to allow you to not only quote it, but also run a risk assessment right there and write the application. So we'll let that spin for a minute, and I'm going to move on because of time here, but that's where you're going to look. So you want to go out to the portal, look for the title tab, Transamerica FE Express Solution. Of that tab, click on the launch, and then you can do everything from there. Quote it, write it, risk assessment, everything from there.
So I do have a question, just me, myself, and I may be speaking on behalf of several of our attendees. Access to the secure.transamerica, that portal that you're referring to, does it require a Transamerica producer number in order to gain access or set up the account?
It does. So you would have to be a licensed agent to do that. What I'll send you later on is some portals that we call them like recruiting portals that you can access without having Transamerica login.
Okay.
So here's kind of what it looks like, you guys. So I couldn't bring up the actual deal, but here's what the tab looks like. It's highlighted in red, right? Transamerica FE Express Solution. You hit the launch down here, and it's going to bring this page up for you. That again allows you to quote it, pre-qualify, and write the new application. If you wanted to quote it, here's kind of, or not quote it, but do a risk assessment. Here's kind of what that looks like. I'll kind of just do a scroll down so that you can record that and get it in. Here's the next little screenshot with some more information. And once you get to the end, you're just checking eligibility. And once you do that, then you get a screen that looks like this. You are pre-qualified, tells you what you're pre-qualified for, the rating, and then what riders are available to you. Then again, if you go into the quoting option, again, you're going to get quote, very easy. Select product, put all the information in. You can solve for premium or face amount, and it's going to spit out the information below. You do not have to do those steps if you don't want to. You can just quote and not do a risk assessment and write the app. You can do all three. You can just go and write the app. You don't have to go through those. I just wanted to show you those. So one question before I do this, because it depends on how much time I'll spend on it, is a lot of your business written in person or virtually?
I think that very much depends on the agent. We may have maybe close to a 50-50 split.
Okay,
We've got a
perfect. I'll
lot
go
of
over
agents
both.
with non-residents.
Yeah, awesome. I'll go over a little bit of both then. So we're going to walk through, the application is the same. All that's different between in-person and phone and virtual is the signature methods. So I'm going to share both here. I'll first walk through the in-person, and then I'll go back and show you the text to sign. So here's what you're going to get when you choose in-person. Again, this is how quick and easy the app is, right? So here's your first, you get the personal information. Okay. So you're getting all that personal information. Then you're going to get the health information. And kind of an example of what you're looking at there. And then you're going to go through the lifestyle information. An example of what you're looking at there. Once you do that, then if you are in person, you're going to review this with the client, select I agree, hit continue. Then you're going to review this and just confirm this information, check the box, hit continue or next. Then you're going to, which you do not have to click on the PDFs. You can check all the boxes that'll be here next to, I believe, these. Make sure the Everest rider is checked. Again, review this information with the client, check the box, and then they can tap. They don't have to draw their signature, right? They can tap, they can click, whatever, however your iPad or laptop works. And once they do that, their signature is loaded up on the screen, and they save the signature. Then you as the agent would sign. I'm not going to blow this up, but you as the agent would sign. Very easy there. Read the disclosure statement and sign. And once you do that, so that's the 2 to 3 minute process there. Now you're getting an approval. Boom. That's all you're doing for an approval. You're going through that personal health and lifestyle information, getting them to sign so that we can run the MIB, and boom, they're approved. And it's going to approve them for coverage, the max amount of coverage. We quoted them for 25, right? They're eligible for up to 50. So again, you can then click next to finalize coverage if they want to move forward. Then again, it'll say eligible for 50, quoted for 25. Do you want to move forward? Hit continue. And now here's where our upsell feature comes in. So here's where you're allowed to make changes to the premium or face amount and increase or decrease their coverage, whatever they want to go with. And again, there's no signature for this, right? They're automatically approved for that, so they can make those changes right here and now. And then again, just all they're doing is then confirming their coverage once they make the change. And once you do that, now you get all the other information. So the beneficiary information. You're getting how they want to pay. They want to pay monthly, annually, immediately, schedule a payment, Social Security billing. And guys, a little hint here, if there's a client that wants to use Social Security billing, but not on their Social Security, like their Social Security payment date, you can do that. So we do have a customized feature on our Social Security billing, but make sure you're still selecting Social Security billing, then use the customize feature in the drop down to customize the date that they want that to come out. Then you're getting the bank account information. So you're getting the bank account. And again, make sure you're putting it under the Direct Express card if it's a Direct Express card. And then again, you would sign. So you as the agent would then sign. Then you would review the whole, basically everything with the client, coverage details, beneficiary, payment schedule, billing information, and then payment detail. And then you would just verify this information with them, sign and pay, which would again send them through kind of the process we did in person there beforehand. And once they do that, then the policy's been submitted. It lets them know that it's not binding until first payment. If first payment was scheduled to be drafted immediately, it can take up to 5 business days. And when we do draft, we will email you as the agent and the client. I will ask right now, because we have 4 minutes left of the hour, am I able to go over a little bit?
We certainly can, and because it's a recording, I feel as though we could. You're giving very helpful tips throughout the enrollment process, and blowing up these screens, it does help quite a bit. We can certainly go over a little bit.
Yeah, I won't be too long, but I know people have to drop off, but for the recording, I want to make sure that we get through everything so that they can go back and listen to this later.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. All right. So the next screen that you'll see after that screen, I'm going to bring back up here real quick. This is very important. That's still spinning. That's crazy. This is very important because, as I said, the premium may not be able to be drafted for up to 5 days, which means, like I said earlier, that means the client doesn't have access to their policy for that time frame. So we actually created this policy promise. So what that does is at the end, after that one screen I showed you, you're going to see this. This screen's going to pop up. Policy's been issued, gives all the information. There's a download PDF. When you hit that download PDF, this is going to show up. It's going to congratulate your client, give them all the policy information, talk about Everest, and give your agent information. And this you will be able to send to your client so they have something after you completed the sale that states they have coverage. Okay, because that's huge. I know that's huge in just a relationship status with your clients to give them something like that. And it's available for 90 days post-sale. So if you ever need it afterwards, you can go back out to your homepage and you can go down, find your client, go over to where this red arrow is leading, click that. It'll take you right back into that policy promise page, and you'll be able to download that PDF and resend it to them. All right, so let's finish up here because I know you guys are itching to get out there and write this. I'm itching for you to get out there and write it. So virtual signature, and then some tips and tricks to end this, and we'll get you guys home free. Those of you that have to go, I apologize, but you'll be able to view this on the recording. So virtual signature, you still have email, you still have text to sign, right? So you still have those things that are available. We're going to choose text to sign. Your client would receive a text message that looks like this. Agreed to verify your identity, complete application with Transamerica. When they click on that text message, here's what opens up. This verbiage and that link. They're going to click on that link, which takes them into this screen right here. They will have to input their email. They won't have to access their email, but they will have to input their email and create a password. I will tell you guys, have a password ready. You can have it whatever you want. I'll give you mine. I tell them to put in Transamerica with a capital T, 01 exclamation point. Checks all the boxes, and it actually allows them to move through this part of the application pretty quickly. Okay, once you've done that, you go to the next screen, which needs them to verify their date of birth, and input their social. And once they hit continue, then they'll be able to sign, which again, they also do not have to click on the PDFs. They will check the boxes over here that are next to these bullet points, go down and tap in the box to add their signature, which looks like this. And then they'll save their signature, which will come back to you. Now, I know from being in the field that is it's not a very cumbersome process, right? But it is a couple of steps, okay? Now, I will tell you, I have had agents reach out to me and say, I had a 75-year-old walk right through that. I had a 72-year-old struggle, took me 30 minutes to get him through that. Had a 65-year-old walk right through it. Had a 68-year-old struggle, right? We're not getting 50-50. We're actually getting more people that are actually, because we're getting, I mean, more older people are now more, I don't know the term, that they just get this type of stuff now, right? Yeah, technological savvy. Yes, they are technology savvy now. I thank you for that. They are. They're getting it. But I realize, we realize that is a process, that is a couple of steps, which can make the process a little cumbersome, especially with the ease of everything else. So what we're doing, and I want to share with you guys, is we are actually rolling into what we're going to do a revamped text to sign process, which is going to be a 6-digit code signature process. And that's going to be huge, because I think that is the final piece to this puzzle for everything to be super easy and convenient for you guys. And how that's going to work is when you do that, you're going to still send the text message to your clients. They're going to get 2 text messages simultaneously. The first one's going to be a link where they can view their documents. The second one's going to be that has the code in it. So when they receive those, you're going to want to tell them to scroll down, see the second text message, give me that code, and then if they want to go in and review their documents, they can. But all you're going to do is input that code in the application. That's going to be their sign. That's going to be their signature. Very, very easy for that. So that's coming soon. Hopefully in the next 60 days, that'll be, if not sooner, that'll be in the works for us. I do want to show you guys where you can do a practice application. That might be helpful, right? So if you scan this QR code that's on the screen right now, go ahead and do that while I grab a swig of water. Okay, you guys can go back and get this on recording, but what this is going to bring up, I'm just going to actually exit out of that. This screen right here. If you scroll down and you find this set of links, or whatever you want to call it, and you go over to training resources, you go down here to the bottom where it says brokerage TAN, go ahead and click on that. It's going to take you into another site that looks like kind of like a CE course. It's not a CE course, and nor do you have to take this to write the FE Express, which I get a lot of questions on, surprisingly. You can start the course and run through it all. You can go into different sections if you want, but down here, the second section, you're going to want to go to the in-person sales sandbox feature if that's how you're selling. Or if you're remote, you want to go to the remote virtual sales sandbox practice. Either one of those, however you're selling, can walk you through this application so you're prepared when you go and meet with your clients. Couple other things from a customer service perspective that we're working on, again, to make it just as easy for the client as it was for you to write them. We actually do not accept third-party payers at time of issue right now. And the owner, insured, and payer must be the same right now at time of issue. I know that can throw a wrench in some things, so I wanted to make sure that you're aware of that before going into the home and selling, so that you know how to pivot from that. Again, they're just not available at time of issue right now. We are working on that. Hopefully by the end of the year, those things will be available at time of issue. But right now, since it's into decision, what would happen if you could write a policy with those things but wanted to change them? Okay, you would just make sure that the owner, insured, and payer are the same at time of issue. Once the app is instant issued, but once it drafts the first premium, then you can go and do any changes that you want, from a ownership change, a Benny change, payer change. You can do all that, right? And we can have those different and third-party payers after issue. We are working on that to be at issue, but right now that's not available. Another good contact number for you that I want to make sure you have is this number here. If you have any issues with the portal, with the application, this is our FE Express support team for that side of things, right? Me and my team, we're pre-issue product questions but if you have any portal or app issues, call this 800-453-1448 number and they can help assist you with that. Two more things I want to touch on, and then I'm going to let you guys go. This on the screen right now is we do not have a paper app. This is all, like I said, instant decision, e-app. No underwriter actually sees this. It's all automated underwriting, but we created a paper app that mirrors the application, the e-app, so that we could go through and tell you what are knockout questions and how do we view some of these things. So it's what I call an underwriting cheat sheet for you. You can see the knockout questions, how we view smoking, DUIs, when they're a decline, when they would be select, and same with all the medical information. So a good cheat sheet there that I will send out once this is done, and they can get it, and Golden Care can get it out to you guys. The last thing I want to bring up so you guys are aware is our trip. We do a top agent trip every year. 2026, we are going to the brand new Montage in Cabo, Mexico, which is super exciting. I love a montage, but I love a montage even more in Cabo. You can see from these pictures, it's going to be absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait to be there and would love for you guys to join me. That qualification period is right now through the end of the year. The convention dates are April 12th to the 16th, so mark those on your calendar. And to qualify, I always preface this, to qualify, you would need to do $100,000 in paid premium. Now that isn't to actually get on the trip. That's just to qualify. You would have to be in since we call it a top trip for top agents, so you would have to be in that top maybe 40 to 60 agents with Transamerica to get there. But I know you can do it. I would love to have you there because we do have a great time down there. We'd love for you to be on one of our trips, and we can show you our appreciation for all that you do. So with that, that is all I have for today. Do we want to go through some questions? Do you want to just have them reach out to me with those or reach out to you with those when we're done? How do you want to do that? And we can work on getting you guys on your way today.
Yep, I know that there are a couple questions, but in the interest of time, I may actually just have our marketing team will be following up after the fact as well. If you can send over the handouts and things, I will actually follow up. There will be an email that we'll send to the attendees that includes the recording, the link to the recording, as well as some of these handouts. That toolkit website, I do intend to have a link to that as well. So I know we were kind of rushed a little bit, and thank you for going overtime. There was a lot of detail and walking through those enrollment steps. I know sometimes the first time especially, it can be a little bit daunting, a little bit chaotic. And I think going through step by step, that really helped. To have the recording, I think was wonderful. So I really appreciate your time, Jeremiah. All of the information is really good. If I can convey anything to our agents, I know that contracting, if you need to have that contracting, that Transamerica producer portal to access the secure site, get your contracting in as soon as possible, because this product is so popular that contracting has gone from a couple days to I believe it's a little over a week, if not longer. So get your contract request in as soon as possible so that you're able to start offering this product. With that, I want to thank everyone for their time. Jeremiah, again, thank you so much for coming on as our special guest today and talking about the FE Express solution. I just want to say thank you, everyone, and we will catch you next time.
Have a blessed day, guys. Talk soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Golden Care is looking forward to serving you with new tools, new products, new innovations, and always the best support in the business to help you succeed in 2022. So give us a call at 800-842-7799 or check out our website at www.goldencareagent.com.